Hello, hello. I'm really excited to take a look at this deck with you. This is not a first impressions in the sense that I have talked to the creator and I have read to see what's going on here, as you'll see in a minute why. And I have had the cards out to see what is happening here on this particular deck, so that I could get a handle on it and see what's going on. And I'm really excited by it, I have to say. Now, the deck that we are looking at, and I'm probably going to say it wrong, I would say Ephemere, which looks to be correct. On the top, Ephemere. Ephemere would probably what I'd slaughter, but I think it's Ephemere. Tarot. This is by the artist and creator of the True Black Tarot. I do have the True Black Tarot, but I have just gotten my back. I wrenched my back moving some bigger boxes with tarot boxes in there, and I refused to do anything to twinge it again because it was so painful for a couple weeks. So I'm sorry. You could go find other videos to look at the True Black, but this is from the creator of the True Black Tarot, and but he's done something different with the major arcana that it makes me so excited. So let me just do the standard things. Now this has a lot of shiny gold on it, and that may make it difficult to see everything, so I'm going to do my best to make sure you can see. It's absolutely beautiful in person, but my lights do play havoc on it, as you can see. The cardstock is actually quite matte and gorgeous, and then it does have matte artwork, but then it has a lot of gold accents and very deliberate choices on the gold accents that are another thing we'll talk about in a minute. But here's the back. I love the back. It's like rings on a tree, which make a lot of sense when we go to look at sort of the purpose of this. But I absolutely love the rings of the back, and you can see the tree, and you can see on the box like all of the tree branches, like you're standing in a forest and looking up through the tree branches. Absolutely love the stylization of the backs and the box and how those two go together. Again, I bounce lights off of my ceiling, and so that's going to make things a little bit tricky with heavy gilding like this, but I will do my best to make sure you can see, so bear with me. The cardstock otherwise is white, and again with gold accents, no gilding on the side. The gilding is on obviously the back and then throughout the cards themselves with very specific effects. I'm not gonna go through there quite yet, as we'll spoil all the cards. Now, the True Black artist is absolutely amazing. I have a review, I believe, or a pre-review, I can't remember, it's been a long time, of the True Black, and his artwork is stunning. Now, the downside for me to the artwork is simply in the pure perfection of it, if that makes sense. Like, these are absolutely stunning, perfect human examples of human beings, right? They really do feel like they are, you know, Greek statues who have burst out of their statue form and into physical form. And I kind of treat them more in that way because, generally speaking, like, I don't mind absolutely beautiful people in tarot decks, but at the same time, and I don't really need to see myself in physically in a tarot deck, especially in the major arcana. Um, but it is sometimes one of those things that you're like, okay, you know, these are just absolutely stunning, including the, you know, they're all just stunning human beings. And it can sometimes feel like a bit much. This for me hits better in the sense that I'm really treating these as deities that have stepped out, uh, the sort of best version of that somebody has carved into statue that isn't just a statue but is living and moving. That's my best way to work with it. So my only criticism of the artwork is that they are stunningly beautiful and perfect. So I don't know if you can call that a criticism or what, but there you have it. But and then the minors are stunning pips, absolutely stunning pips. We will get there as we go. But anyways, my point was, before I went off on that, is that again, you have a matte cardstock with stunning matte artwork, and then there is the gold that is in the back. And again, it is not just decorative. There's some really cool aspects to what is behind this one in particular. Really cool what's being done in terms of the gold gilding. But on top of that, as you can see already, probably, or you've already probably picked up on, there are title changes. Now, all of the tarot majors are definitely represented here. There are two extras, which we'll talk about when we get to them. There are some extras here built in, but they do not have any of the traditional names. And you know, I haven't checked to see. Let me before I say that, let me double check something. Okay, I thought not, but I wanted to double check it. They are not in the order, like as they come in the box. They are not in the order of the traditional, what you think of as a traditional order in tarot either, and for good reason. It's I'm so, you know, sometimes you're like, okay, that's kind of cool, whatever, and then sometimes you're just like, chef's kiss, right? That's how I feel about this reminds me, in a sense, not that they are anything alike, but it reminds me in how I feel about the Cosmovision's Oracle, which is by James Eads. And while that has a very direct connection to each of the tarot cards, they are titled something entirely different, and they are, for me, in the way that I use them, they are accomplishing something left of center, right? They're doing something different. They're really highlighting something amazing with that renaming, even though there's still a connection to the original tarot major arcana. They're kind of going off and doing something different that actually ends up highlighting the power of the major arcana. And that is exactly what's happening here. All of the names are changed, but there is a connection to each of the original tarot cards. But it's done to create a new way of looking, and a different lens. Not even a different lens, because people have been, we'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself. But the point is that when you open this deck up, you're going to be like, wait a minute, who are these people? Who is the fighter? Who is the keeper? Like, what is happening here, right? Is this an oracle deck? Is this a tarot? You know, what's happening here? And so you definitely, I will say, you definitely want to take a hot minute and look at the guidebook, because it really just says, whoa, okay, 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 I know what's happening here. So we're going to take a look at the guidebook, especially the first part of it, and then we're going to come back and look at the cards. But we're going to kind of do, you know how I am sometimes when there's new systems involved that I love, that really have me excited, we need to start making some piles and kind of looking at it a little bit different than just a straight flip through. I'm sure that there are other videos that have some straight flip throughs. This is not necessarily that. So if you don't want to dive in, you know, you may want to find a flip through. But let's dive in and play around. I will say it comes with Ephemere, sorry, by True Black. and with the backing. And then there is this absolutely gorgeous card. I'm gonna try to, again, I know you're gonna have to just bear with me a little bit so you can see them well. But absolutely gorgeous. And then on the back, I just love this. On the back is part of Ozymandias by Percy Bryce Shelley. And then we have this sort of look of the endless sands going around. So that we have that card there as well. Okay, let's take a look at the book. Same, it's not matte on the outside, it's just nice cardstock, but same, you have that same gold gilding here. So Ephemere, the Guidebook by Matt Auren and Arthur Wang. And so this is a great introduction. I really recommend, again, we're going to look at it, but I recommend that you read the whole thing, especially the first part leading up to the individual things. Ephemere represents the traditions, fables, and legacies that humans create and pass onward in their journey to conquer the most eternal and insurmountable of enemies, the temporality of life and the passing of time. All things pass, but humankind is singularly distinct in its ability to fight against its mortality through the passing on of knowledge, stories, and cultures. These remnants persist in the hopes that their ancestors' legacy will live on. Historians and anthropologists believe that civilization is achieved when a group finally learns to speak and write a language. This passing of knowledge is the first attempt at defining an individual's lifespan. By immortalizing its experiences, beliefs, and knowledge, a singular life is able to transcend its own limitations, merging with a longer lived and more experienced collective civilization. Ephemere is at first a story of one's fleeting moments, and second, a civilization's ensuing quest for immortality. In 1970, Eden Gray wrote The Complete Guide to Tarot. There, she introduced her interpretation of the major arcana, now famously named The Fool's Journey. Its rich tapestry of symbols has established an almost canonical presence in the realm of tarot, 100% agree, due to its resounding popularity, and owes its own roots, thank you very much, to the legendary framework of Joseph Campbell's monomyth, which is something I love. Campbell's monomyth, a term commonly referred to as the hero's journey, is a narrative elixir distilled from a myriad of global mythologies. It charts the course of a hero beckoned from mundane shores, venturing into abyss of challenges, only to return reborn and bearing the boon of enlightenment. From the initial call to the crucible of transformation and the eventual triumphant return, the hero's journey is a cosmic dance of challenges. Again, that's also how I love that term. And again, generally not a huge fan of like the absolutely perfect human being representations. I don't mind them in the majors, but anyways, my point is that's what this feels like. It's almost like the constellations, right? If we think about these beings of up in the skies of constellations have just sort of stepped into physical form. That's what it feels like to me. That's how I kind of see these, as this amazing constellations have revealed themselves and stepped out of the stars and onto the cards. Quite love that. I don't know where I was. I ran off on this. The whisperings of this universal narrative were first caught by Carl Jung in his exploration of the individuation process, a quest for self-realization. In turn, a multitude of Jung's insights were themselves rooted in his studies of ancient alchemy, the primordial art of transformation. Ephemere, with its introspective themes of legacy and cyclical dance of past, present, and future, tenderly embraces this ancestral heritage. And then down here, Ephemere is an ode to the interconnectedness of all stories and a reminder that in every moment we are both the hero and the storyteller. Yes. Can we have an amen for Matt Aaron? I hope I'm probably slaughtering his name, so I apologize for that. Yes, like that. Yes, absolutely yes. So the cards of Ephemere unveil themselves in triptychs. This is especially, I'm assuming, it's not just all the cards, but the major arcana cards are set in triptychs, which are a set of 3 cards that cradle the vast expanse of the hero's narrative. So each triptych paints a vignette capturing pivotal moments, crucial decisions, and profound revelations. Like the 3 muses of ancient lore, they whisper secrets of challenges faced, introspection, and battles both external and internal. Collectively, these groupings create a comprehensive narrative arc, charting the stages, challenges, and resolutions of of the hero's journey. And so then it goes into looking at those in their sets of 3 before looking at them in their individual cards. So that is what we're going to do first, because this to me is like this, and it's not that, look, you're very little here in terms of like we've got a few pages here, 1, 2, 3, 4 pages to really, I think, get at the heart and understanding of what's going on here. And it's so, to me, it's super exciting. So let's take a look. Okay, so we're gonna zoom out here and give ourselves as much space as we can without going into the wild unknowns around my reading table. So that we can take a look at this in its triptychs, because this really does excite me. Okay, and we'll go back and look at them. We'll still flip through them, but if I can remember to pick them up correctly. So I know we're going to be zoomed out here, but I think that it's important at the get. Well, let me think here. We can zoom in a little bit more, maybe, so that we can see, but I can still kind of layer them a little bit. Okay, so here we have the first triptych is right now, in my opinion, don't worry about trying to figure out like what tarot card they're associated to. Truthfully, I don't think it really matters. We'll go through and look at what's in the back. There's all kinds of cool things going on as well. But right now, we're just looking at these sets, right? So we have this very first triptych that is really speaking to the origin. We're just, born of blood. I love the red here. So it's like we're born of blood. It's just the beginnings of things, right? In the origin. And then we have this dream. We have this starting to have dreams and desires, right? And then we have the summons. Remember, if you have any familiarity with the hero's journey, then we have that call to adventure, or that summons that comes forward here. So this is just at that very cusp of things where we are coming into existence for another cycle on the wheel. We come into this understanding of dreams, this coming in understanding of desires and wants that we want for ourselves. And then we get this call that says there's something more right here with the summons card. So that's the first set. And I was just going to see, yeah. These 3 set the stage for the story, offering a glimpse into the hero's past, their initial motivations, and then the catalyst for their journey, right? So we can see that there. I love these next 3. So then the next 3 come, and they are really talking about qualities that the hero embodies. So all 3 of these are qualities of the hero that come in. And here we have the beauty. I really actually love this fighter card. Here we have the fighter card, which is physical strength and physical energy there. We have the alchemist, which is the intellectual and, being able to transform things the way that alchemy does, side of things. And then lastly, we have the keeper, and you can really get the hint there with this shark swimming around him, because then we have the keeper, which is the emotional anchor point for this hero. So we have sort of the beginnings of things. We have an understanding of qualities of the hero. He's been summoned. What does he innately bring with him or her, right? What does the hero innately have with them in the fighter, the alchemist, and the keeper? But of course, as all heroes journey, they then, right, the hero has to go on the journey. And what are some of the difficulties and the challenges that might arise? And I love this part. I love all this. This really does. This is the kind of thing that just gets me so excited. But here we have the Voyager. I think this could have just been the Voyage. I think I would have loved just Voyage, but the Voyager, right? So this is the understanding that there are challenges inherent in the voyage itself, right? That in the voyage we're going to have challenges that we are going to face. We've got an anchor. Again, we'll look at them more. There's all kinds of cool things in the backgrounds, or what's in gold to me is really interesting. So we have that. We have I say the dolces, and I don't even know if that's the right pronunciation. We're gonna find out. I think it's dolce. It comes from dolce. So dolces, I need to check with them. But this makes sense, right? Because everything you see about dolce is about sweet things, whether smelling or other things like that. And this is the card for inner temptations, right? So the voyage itself is going to have challenges. We are also going to be challenged by inner temptations, but also external foes and external things. This is a nemesis card, right? Things that we are going to outwardly and externally bump into, challenges on the journey itself, right? So we've got sort of the origin, the spark of desire and interest, the call to action. What does the hero take, and what are the challenges they're going to face? The everyday challenge of the voyage, internal challenges and external challenges that might be faced on this journey, right? So then we move on to we understand that there is going to be a difficult time. We're going to see a fall. We're going to see a drop. There's going to hit on a challenge that's going to knock the hero low, right? So we have the next three cards, which we have Obscurio, which represents where we can get a lost, where we can have confusion and that type in the journey itself. We have the Burn card, which is the card of pain and suffering, and sort of the feelings when failure happens or difficult things happen. These are things that happen. We're going to get lost along the way. We're not going to be able to see and find our way. We're going to have things happen that cause a lot of pain, and we get stopped in our tracks with these difficulties and these pains on the journey. But this triptych ends with the healer. And so the healer, of course, then comes in and brings recovery after any kind of defeat and getting lost and getting stuck. So all together, these represent the downturn in the hero's journey. So then we're brought to an interesting set of cards. This would be associated to the Lovers card in the Major Arcana, but we have three of them. Now, what I thought originally, right, I'm just going to stick them up here for right now. Again, we'll look at these all more closely. But we have the counterpoint cards. So we have, I think I probably got them out of order. I think they go in the male, female, and then I think it's the male, male, and then it is the female and female cards. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, okay, well, this is the Lovers card, and we're supposed to pick one out, right? That benefit, that speaks to, right, our relationships, the relationships we connect to, because this is talking about how at this point, after the hero has come here and has had its downfall, has had its healing, we now at this point understand where our strengths are, we understand where our weaknesses are, we understand that sometimes we're going to fail and sometimes things are going to happen, but we also come to the understanding that we can't and shouldn't do it alone, that we should reach out and connect and find that counterpoint energy here. So, and again, I saw these and I thought, okay, well, this is meant for us to pick one of these to go in the place of the Lovers. Now, that may still be the case. I am certainly not going to do that. And that's because when you go to the actual card about the counterpoint, which is on page 51, so well, and then we'll use this to take a look at what you get for each of the major arcana cards. Although this one's a little bit different because there's 3 cards, but you get the title of the card. You get some keywords: partnership, love, alliance, symbiosis. You get sort of a description of it, and in this case we have separate ones for each. Because there's 3 variants, but it gives you a basic idea of the card, but then it also tells you what's going on behind it in the gold color. And it also tells you what is an upright and reverse meanings. And then it also tells you, oh, I missed the, I don't know if this one maybe doesn't have it, but it also, most of the cards also have a, an arcana. So it tells you, yeah, as arcana, it tells you what is the major arcana that would be connected to traditionally. But so it talks about the fact that this at this point in the journey, the strength of the hero lies not only within the self, but also within their allies, partners, and connections. This is the revelation of the counterpoint. Now, it talks about the 3 variants, and they're so interesting to me because you have first the male, female. So we'll look at these cards a little bit more specifically. But you have the male, female, and you can see that we have music notes going on behind it. And so we have a man and a woman that is a bass to the complement a soprano. This card illuminates how unique strengths can amplify and complement when intertwined. So we can have different kinds of energies that come together and complement themselves. So we have this music-based understanding of the bass and your different tones coming together. And apparently the term counterpoint is based in musical theory and describes 2 or more melodies, sometimes called voices, that are independent in rhythm and melody, yet complementary and harmonically interdependent. So that's why we have that version. There's 2 very different energies, but they are coming together and they are harmonious and complementing. So then we have the male, which is seen as the hunter. We have a hunter and we have a gatherer here. And so in this one, we see that their roles are distinct yet equally essential, creating a balance within their Eden, right? One has a spear, the symbol of power, strength, and protection. The other one has a golden bowl, which is the tool to prepare foods, create healing salves, unified community. You need both of these things, and you can see in gold around it is sort of the forests, right? The rainforest to go and collect these things and to survive and to create that connection. So we have that there. Then in the third one, we have the female, and these are 2 fighters that are shoulder to shoulder. One has a bow, one has an arrow. Sorry, one is an archer and one has a sword. And this is a timeless combination. It talks about how the archer knocks the arrow while the swordswoman readies her blade. They're going to stand next to each other. They are mutually reliant on each other. And this card speaks to shared determinations and advancing another's strength and fortifying another's weakness, working together as a team here, which they all do, but in different ways. So in my opinion, these 3 cards are very different energies to the same thing, different ways in which we have relationships with people, different types of relationships. The last little bit says the cosmic musicians emphasize the value of harmony and balance and uniquely contrasting contributions and partnerships. The hunter and gatherer with their aligned gazes signify the importance of choice, commitment, and shared responsibilities. The fighters and their combined strength showcase the power of trust, mutual defense, and complementary skills. So in my opinion, and nothing in here says to pick one and choose one. My opinion, you would definitely not want to remove any of these because they have very different energies there. So that is the counterpoint. The journey has gone to this point. There's been some failures, there's been some healings, and now there's comes to an understanding that we don't have to, nor should we, do this alone. Let me just kind of move our overlaps up here a little bit as we continue on the journey. I just love this. Like this stuff, this kind of thing, you know, where there is this rethinking and you just can see, again, I don't know, you know, whose idea. I don't know if, you know, one is just the illustrator, I'm not saying just, but if one's an illustrator and one's sort of the concept person, I don't know. But one or both of them combined, one or the other or both of them combined have come up with just this stuff just gets my divination excitement at extremely high gear. So back to our triptychs. Okay, so that's the counterpoint. Again, I'm planning on keeping all three in, definitely not taking any of those out. I love what's happening there. So then the next three that we have is where interesting, right? Because okay, we've had this understanding where we've gotten lost, we've had failures, we've had to heal up again. We understand that we connect to other people and that we can gain from that connection, right? So then there's sort of a resurgence happening, right? An energy of, okay, well, now we've got to go back out onto the journey. So we have the seeker, which I know many people would say, oh, well, that's like, that should be the fool, but it's not. That's the origin. The seeker is associated with the hermit. I'm 99.999% sure. So we have the seeker, which is going to quest to get some answers and to get some clarity. We have the card of defiance, which is saying, look, I'm going to, yes, there's difficulty. Yes, there's challenges. Yes, yes, yes. But I'm going to push back against that. And I'm gonna face these challenges. I've got allies at my back now. I've got insight at my back now, and now I'm going to be able to push through this space and move to the crescendo, right? Which brings us to this big pivotal moment in the hero's journey, and that sort of that big battle that might take place, that sort of really coming to this ultimate high pitch there with the crescendo. So now we've kind of pushed through. So then the next, okay, so we've reached this height pitch of journey and battle, right? And then we of course have the energy for the victor, the triumphant, but we also have the sacrifice, understanding that victory doesn't come without a cost, right? And then we have the ovation. This one is interesting to me because this is more of the recognition. This is more of the understanding of celebration that happens, and altogether these are the resolution, right? They are resolving the hero's quest, where and then the very last triptych kind of moves outside of the hero's individual journey to the broader understandings, right, of death, which is the inevitable, where things are moving towards, love the mushrooms here, love the skull here. We have the legacy. This is interesting because this is the understanding of what we have left behind. We've made an impact in some way, and this represents that impact, that continuing impact, which I should use that term, but the last one is the continuum, which is to see this journey not just in this like one journey, but to see this journey in the whole continuum of continual journeys and cycles that are happening. And so then again, all together, we have this powerful movement through the hero's journey by these set of triptychs. And you, again, with the changing, again, all of these cards are associated to a major arcana card, but they're just sort of repackaged so that this journey is very, very clear as an actual journey there versus like kind of individual archetypes, even though those are still there as well. absolutely beautiful. I love what was done here. Super exciting. And again, there's a lot going on in terms of what's in the background, right? So for example, if we look at the continuum, and it tells you when you look at the guidebook, it has it in gold, right? So above her hovers the lemon Scott of infinity, now curiously altered into the shape with distinct ends, a point above and a point below. This symbol, now severed, signals continuum's audacious departure from the confines of infinity. In her hands lay the two halves of an ended cycle. A once flawless circle is now snapped. She offers this to us as a symbol of our people's highest goal, a testament to rebellion against an otherwise endless cycle of repetition. She's getting off the wheel, right? She's getting off the wheel. I love that. Behind the figure is the endless knot, a Tibetan symbol for samsara, commonly described as the endless cycle of birth, suffering, death, and rebirth that all life is destined to travel. In plain terms, samsara translates into aimless, directionless wandering, and to be fated to relive the same life, feel the same pains, and die the same death, and perpetuity is bondage of the soul. So it goes on to talk about at some point, right? And I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe, though, that each of the life is for a purpose, but the goal isn't to be on this circle forever. And so this actually speaks to breaking that cycle, which is really, really, really cool. But again, it talks of, so each of the things that we see are very deliberately put there for a reason, and it's definitely put in here so that you can focus on them, at least in the minors. I think it still talks about, you get less, obviously you get single pages with the, so with the majors. We get a little bit less with the minors, but it does still talk about what we're seeing, but we'll get to the minors in a second. So, okay, so I'm going to try to, go through at least the majors a little quicker because we've gone through them in their triptych forms, but I do want to point out some things. Um, Again, in the majors, when you go in, you'll have this in the gold section, which I have really enjoyed because it does definitely show the importance of that gold background. So circling trails mimic fire and smoke at the bottom of the card, while tall streaking vertical lines indicate ice near the top. Together they represent, I am not going to slaughter this, even though um, I know that the primordial void of Norse myth in which fire and ice created the world, but I'm not going to try to slaughter that word. So again, this is meant to be that coming together, and now the origins comes out of that. And again, I do really like the red, that kind of being born of blood feel to that as well. So quite beautiful. And again, so then it gives you your in gold, and then it gives your, as the arcana, origin resonates with the fool's venturing spirit, a nascent force stepping into the abyss of the new and unknown. Her journey begins here with boundless potential and a tenuous hope. I do quite like that. Interesting, tenuous hope and past trauma, but also the beginning and the potential. So yeah, so you get that. I'm going to read through one of them, but I'm just going to wait till one I want to read all the way through so you can see what you get out of it. But it does give you sort of what, and I think after a little bit, it's not going to be too hard to tell what those might be. I have found with the Cosmovisions, which again is an oracle that is structured like the tarot deck, in many ways still has the minor arcana in the sense that it has, 1 through 10 of each of the elements. And this has got the same, it's got a pip style to the minors that are still there. And it does the Cosmovisions does something different with the quartz and puts them all together as personality types, but they are still essentially quartz. But I don't really, very rarely, and I use that deck a ton, and I very rarely think about it as, even though it's completely structured off of tarot, I really don't think about it that way. Like, I let it be what it is. And then sometimes in a particular reading, because I generally use it in conjunction with another deck, there'll be like mirrors where the Cosmovision one that is tied to the Magician, say, might come out together. And then that's really powerful. And I might touch on it then. But for the most part, I tend to just let the new system. Same thing with like Dreams of Gaia, where she does something completely different in the majors, tweaks up even the minors a little bit. And while you can see the tarot clearly and the journey there, letting it be what it is where you can really be powerfully, let it powerfully stand alone, with its echo, but with it allowing you to reframe it in a different
For
way.
Toledo, Ohio, there
Oh,
are currently no weather alerts.
Alexa thought, I know her name is not that because it's ECHO. I'm not going to say it again, but she thought I apparently asked for the weather in Ohio. Anyways, moving on without that interruption. I do find letting it be what it is, knowing that that echo is there, but letting you just fall into the differences and allow them to stand. You're still getting all of the archetypes there. It's just my suggestion from, again, a long use of the Cosmovisions, or things like Dreams of Gaia, or there's another one that really changes up the majors. Again, playing with the structure and construction of tarot to highlight things is nothing new, and it's quite powerful way to reframe something and allow yourself to get to know it even more. What is the witches one? There's a witches one that kind of goes backwards through the majors. That's very interesting. Anyways, moving on, moving on. So here we have origin. Here we have dream. I'm really, what I'm interested in, because we've kind of walked through the major, like what they're doing and moving through. But what I love about this is that in the background here, you have the 4 keys of the genetic code repeated in the background, reminding us not only of the eons of legacy from those who came before, but also the untapped potential that will propel our lineage and people forward, right? Because we start here, but now we're seeing the movement of the DNA forward and backwards. So I love that also, because this is the arcana card that is associated with the magician, right? We talk about how the magician has everything that he needs within him, and here it's literally coded in his DNA. Like, that is awesome. I mean, that is incredibly awesome. This one as well is so powerful. I'm gonna go ahead and read this one. Um, but uh the gold here, well, here, I'll just read it. So I'm going to read so that way you can know what you get here. So you get your keywords: calling, duty, responsibility, and mission. You get like a black and white icon of the main image, which is nice, you know, because it's a small guidebook, but it's enough for you to see that main imagery there. And then as you see, you get some lead-in text: what's in gold, what the arcana, upright and reversed, information. So here we have: a figure descends from above. At her feet lies a bed of fennel, the ancient flower which grew on the fields of marathons, which you can see down here. So again, the guidebook is letting us know what it is that we're seeing, and why we're seeing it. And that's so important to me, way more important to me than like keywords. Like, I want to know, why did the artist and the creator come together and create a card looking like this, because that lets me know it's intentional, and then that gets me excited. Anyways, the ancient flower which grew on the fields of Marathon, Greece, there over 2,000 years ago, a fabled messenger ran until his dying breath to fulfill his duty. She offers a gleaming blade at her outstretched palms. Her sword, sharp as the light reflected from the sun, recalls the virtues of wisdom and strength, the wisdom to know what is right and the strength to carry it out. It is the sword of duty, and we are summoned to it. Hovering above the woman's brow, a bifurcated crown serves as a poignant reminder of the dual nature of justice, on one half flourishing and on the other half wilting. Look at that. Um, At times, it gives us what is owed, and at others, it asks us for sacrifice. Summon is a call to arms, a mandate to rise, engage, and actively contribute to the shared fate of humankind. The world is shaped not by dreams, but by actions. Here, we are called to action. In gold, the letters are written upon a note from the Salem witch trials, a dark reminder of the miscarriage of justice. This script reminds us to evaluate our own definitions of justice. What will future generations think of the judgments passed today? As arcana, Summon embodies the scale balancing nature of justice, echoing her pursuits of equilibrium, of cause and consequence, right and wrong. Upright, Summon urges you to move from passive dreaming to active action and manifestation. Again, reminding us of, what I call these, right? They're ghost cards. The ghost of dream is there in summons, right? But summons is saying it's no longer time to passive dream, but now it's time to shift and move into active action and manifestation. The blindfolded figure demands discernment and unbiased judgment. Her balanced sword resonates with the imperative of clear intent, highlighting that dreams, while beautiful, demand conscious effort to become reality. The golden letters of the Salem witch trials serves as a powerful reminder of the consequence of our collective actions and inactions. The crown above her signals the balance between growth and decay, urging you to recognize the delicate equilibrium of choice and consequence in life. This card emphasizes that dreams require a moral compass to navigate them into reality. Our destinies are shaped by the actions we make, directed by our heart's compass. Reversed, Summon suggests misalignments between your dreams and your actions, or a hesitance to take responsibility for your intentions. It may indicate biases or lack of clarity in judgment. The golden letters may signal an excessive influence from past injustices or inconsideration of the consequences of your actions. The wilting half of the crown prompts introspection on whether current actions or inactions are leading to stagnation. This position urges you to not only chase dreams, but to do so with clarity, fairness, and a deep understanding of the repercussions of each choice you make. So again, quite like, technically a small little guidebook, but I feel like you get so much. You fully understand what all aspects of the image are, including the faded background here and including the gold that is not just decorative. That's what's exciting, is when that kind of thing is not decorative alone. I mean, it is beautiful, but it's not decorative. That holds meaning of the card, and that is given to us. That's just so cool. Okay. Again, am I excited? Yes, I am. I love this card. She reminds me of like a monk in D&D. Um, Obviously, she needs a little more armor, but monks don't wear a lot of armor, and in fact, can only wear like armbands. But they're probably got more clothes on. Again, we've already discussed the absolutely, the trouble of the absolute perfection. But I'm just seeing these as constellations or statues coming to life. That's where I'm landing because I love the rest of it. But she's gorgeous, and I love her stance, and I think it's a cool image. So again, here we have the fighter, and in gold we have the Zolkin, I'm sure that's not correct, wheel. An ancient Mayan calendar serves as a reminder of the impermanence of time. The transient nature of our physical existence urges us to make every heartbeat count. I can attest to that. This is interesting because the fighter is not strength, as one might assume, but it's actually the Empress, or it's associated to the Empress, right? And I really like that because the Empress may come about it in a different way, energy than say the Emperor, but she is powerful and she is fighting in the ways that she can and knows how. She is fighting just as much as the Emperor is. So I love that. I would have guessed, like, because this is it's physical prowess and strength, so I would have thought maybe for strength as fortitude. Love it. Here we have the Alchemist. Again, I'm mostly looking at the gold because, and just letting you know which one it is, because we kind of talked about how they are interconnected in their triptychs. So in gold, we have a Chinese calendar of alchemy rings in the background. The practice of alchemy started in 500 BCE with Lao Tzu becoming precursors to the study of chemistry and medicine. And the alchemist in this deck is associated to the high priestess. Again, you could have thought temperance, because certainly in my deck, temperance is the alchemist, and I'm not the only person who's done it that way, but I actually, it's very active, right? The high priestess and the empress are very action oriented. And I always say the high priestess is the action of finding in knowledge, that extra knowledge, whereas, like, say, the moon is the actual energy. The alchemist, or the high priestess, is the action of working with it, and that works quite well with an alchemist, actually. Here we have the keeper. The keeper, I'm going to the gold. A dyer, again, Adire, textile patterns adorn the background and art passed down by Yoruba women. The Yoruba are known for their compassion and empathy for animal life, giving each species of personality, a personality, distinct story, as well as an oriki, or poem name. Here it is. Again, don't take my pronunciation here. This is associated with the Hierophant. Here we have the Voyager. The gold is a vast sky of possibilities, stars and constellations in which to navigate by, which makes sense. And this is connected to the Chariot, which to me also makes sense. I love the anchor here and a sextant. Here we have the Dolces. Again, I may be saying that I couldn't find just that word, but I'm assuming because of the sweetness and the temptation that it is associated with dolce. But again, that's me. In gold, there are silhouettes of past captives. Silhouettes of past captives haunt the shadow beyond, grim predictions of a future that awaits the unsuspecting creature. Below those lifeless things, a bounty of gleaming berries dot the landscape, the perfect bait. Dolce is no ordinary adversary. So this would be assuming associated to the devil. Yes, this is mirrors the seductive and binding shackles of the devil. She whispers of pleasures that can both entice and entrap. I'm not sure. Like, I see falling birds here. I'll have to message and see what I'm missing. Oh, I see. She presents a luscious fig in one hand and a cage in the other, that's holding a single bird. The cage door is open, which I love. And it's remaining in the cage even though it doesn't have to. Oh, and these are past captive of other birds that have allowed themselves to be captive. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. So, sometimes we do have the little snake there, a little nod to the Garden of Eden. Um, so we do have that there. Okay, so again, love it. Here we have Nemesis. Nemesis has in gold shattered weapons form a morbid halo, a history of crushed challenges that exemplify the tenacity, strength, and resilience needed to defeat this sentinel. So this one is actually tied to the tower. While the Dolchus taps into our inner vulnerabilities, Nemesis represents external obstructions encountered in an unpredictable life. What's also interesting, is he the first? I haven't been paying attention. Yes, I think he is the first that is coming back to the blood kind of cloak here with the tower as everything goes crashing down, and the wounds that might appear with that's interesting to me. Sorry, I closed it and now. He is masked by disembodied skull, dominant hand, tattered red garment, worn and frayed, telling tales of countless confrontations and survival. So these are just these unexpected, devastating things that happen in the tower. But the tower is external, whereas the devil and or the Dolchess, right, is internal temptation. It's still a challenge, right? But it's internal versus the external things that happen. So love it, love it, love it. I love this image. Here we have Obscurio. Um, Her eyes are voids of pure white. In gold, we have talismans of Chinese and Japanese Buddhism named Fulu, Fulu, vary in purpose, from granting health and fortune to protecting from evil, and are famous for their illegibility. Made deliberately incomprehensible through a veil of unfathomable otherworldliness, it is thought that as long as the intent and shape of the writing was authentic, the talisman's power would remain true. This is associated with the moon, which makes sense, right? It's the mysteries of the moon, the mysteries of the psyche, the understanding that we can't always see those powers clearly. Here we have the burn card. This in gold has veil of embers whirling around the figure, each acting as a cruel reminder of the sting of defeat. Surprisingly, above the figure hangs a small but precious symbol of hope, a pine cone. Just as certain pine trees release their seeds only in the wake of a fire, this man too will experience the regeneration power of failure. From the ashes of defeat, a new seed of hope can grow. This is the one that is associated to strength, the strength to regenerate into something stronger. Very powerful. Then we have the healer card. Um, in gold, the woman's radiant halo is formed of golden ginkgo leaves, long used in natural medicines. Here its arrangement mimics the delicate structure of a dandelion, some scattering gracefully into the gray unknown. Each bears the seed of renewal, hope, and healing. And this is tied to Temperance's harmonizing touch, practicing her blend of alchemy and balance. Quite beautiful. I like this. I don't know, something about this, like I can't I would be silly to call it a dress because it is not much of a dress. But there's something about the dress and her hair. I don't know, it just kind of reminds me of like a 50s, obviously a 50s. So weird, right? Because the 50s set maybe going even into the 70s. I don't know. I like this image irregardless. There's something about it that it triggers something that I like. Okay. Let's see. What are we talking about? We talked about the gold. We talked about the arcana. This is temperance. So then we have the three counterpoints. So we already talked about those and kind of looked into what the different things that they stand for. Again, really like this counterpoint. I don't see anything. I think I have them in the wrong order because I think Seeker should be next. But yeah, Seeker should be next, but that's okay. What again, I do think these talk about different, coming back to that, that summation here, right, where the musicians are really emphasizing the value of harmony and balance. The hunter and the gatherer are signifying the importance of choice, commitment, and sharing responsibilities. And the fighters, with their combined strengths, showcase the power of trust and mutual defense as well. So they've really approached different ways that we might have allies. And even if it said in the book that we should pick one, I would not do that. And it does not say that as far as I can see. The Seeker should have gone before that. I also like her. She looks like a fairy to me, but these look more like wings, even though I know they're not. This has in gold the bull-horned crescent moon subtly illuminates the void, its gentle light guiding the seeker through her introspective quest. Um, we have, and the seeker is associated with the hermit, which we can kind of get a hint at with the lantern. I really love this card as well, along with the monk. Like, this does feel like there's this painting at the top of the ceiling that is just like the painting itself is like smashing the ceiling that it's on. I don't know. I like the image of that. But this is Defiance. In gold, an intricate and convoluted maze has been constructed. Lurking within its twisting path is a metaphorical Minotaur. I can't speak. The starry ruler. He is a cosmic representation of the powers above that force an unchosen path upon us. But of course, he is rising up in defiance to smash it. This is actually the associated with the star card, which is a very powerful representation, just like we saw with the high priestess and the empress, that are very active manifestations of those archetypes. This is as well, because it's a maze. It's still about navigation, but being willing to smash through the walls to get where you need to go. That is such a strong star card. Star cards have been always one of my least favorites. Not because I don't like the energy, I do, but I always kind of had a ho hum about it, because it's like, oh yeah, it's nice, it's a star card. This is a strong star card. Here we have Crescendo. Um, in gold, carved in Akkadian cuneiform, the Epic of Gilgamesh is the oldest work of literature ever recorded. In it, we find the first ever demon of mythology, Humbaba, who later inspires stories of ogres and giants and the Greek Gorgons. He is described Humbaba. His voice is the deluge, his speech is fire, his breath is death. Crescendo demands from us an unparalleled vigor, pushing our spirit and resolve to their limits. This is associated with judgment. Are you willing to go all the way and meet your judgment on the battlefield? Again, quite a powerful representation of the different energies here. They are beautiful, right? Almost too beautiful, but they're beautiful. But at the same time, don't let that beauty be deceptive, because they are so powerful. Here we have the victor. Um, and in gold, we have the Bay Laurel Crown, which makes sense, right, for the victor. And this is associated to the Emperor. So we do have a female in the, I haven't paid a lot of attention to gender, because they're not in order, I guess, to pay attention to as much. But here we do have a female emperor, although it's not the emperor, it's the victor, right? But it is associated with the emperor card here. And he, the emperor has achieved that victory, and now has to hold his own. But here we have the sacrifice card. Look at that. That's so interesting. In gold, 4 stars have fallen, while a fifth larger star shines over the scene behind the floating figure. In Aztec mythology, the human race had been previously reborn upon 4 worlds, each having been consequently destroyed. Today we live on the 5th and final incarnation. I love this word. At the same time, I don't know. I always forget how to say it, even though I look it up. This is the feathered serpent deity, has created the current race of humankind using a sacrifice of his own blood, and later created the morning star using the ashes of his burned body. Just as the gods sacrificed themselves for humanity, Aztec culture emphasized sacrifice, whether through offerings of food, jewelry, or human life itself. Sacrifice reminds us that all goals worth achieving require personal sacrifice, and this is associated to the Hanged Man. Again, love, like, there is so much information here. I do want to see what this is, so let me see. His face, I've got another red too. His face is shrouded in red, leading an ambiance simultaneously tranquil and macabre, and recalling the faceless and forgotten sacrifices made along the way. While he grasps a sword in one hand, in the other he holds a stalk of fennel set ablaze. It sends tendrils of smoke incense upward, reminding us that of the fennel that the mythological Prometheus used to steal fire from the gods, knowingly dooming himself to eternal torment. This fire is credited with the development of science, knowledge, and civilization itself. See that? All of that in one little burning piece of fennel. I love this. Ovation. Um, Following, and again, I do like, I'm not reading through everything because we couldn't, but they do a really good job of reminding you that this is a sequence in the hero's journey. Following the solemn introspection of sacrifice, we are greeted with an uproar of festivity because now we've moved into the ovation card here. In gold, a sorry. Rangoli adorns the background. It's an art form originating in the Indian subcontinent. Repeating patterns are drawn with everyday materials like sandstone, flower petals, or flour, especially during celebrations and festivals. As an arcana, this is associated to the sun. I will take this over babies. I'll take it. It looks closer to the sun god ideology than before. Look at this death. Again, gorgeous, but also look at the skull behind it. I don't know if you can see. There we go. The skull behind it, the mushrooms growing, the skull in her hand. That's beautiful. Um, so we have death in gold. Let's see. In Norse creation myth, the giant Ymir birthed the world as we know today. His blood formed the oceans and his skin formed the earth. His hair sprouted all flora and his skull became the sky. So we can see that there. This is associated to death. I believe, I'm 99.999% sure that's the only card that keeps its traditional name. Here we have a legacy. I do really love the idea of a legacy card. In gold, we have ancient carvings from the tomb of Gavrinus, dating to 3500 BCE, adorn the air. Their exact symbolism has been lost in time, but some theories suggest the shape of axe heads, staves, horns, while others propose the concentric lines, waves, and zigzags are abstract in nature and delineate areas of heightened earth-based energies. Whatever the case, these ancient fingerprints of stone, among the oldest made by humankind, seem to whisper, "I have lived. This is my mark." I love that. This is associated to the world. And I really love this concept of the world as legacy because I think the world is one of those difficult cards because we don't it's in most decks, it's kind of shown as this sort of everything is as it's supposed to be, and that so very rarely happens, right? We very rarely everything is as it is, everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be, all is well in the world, everything is in harmony and is unity. But this idea of legacy energy, I think, is really beautiful. It says legacy asks us to contemplate the lasting effect of our effort and the imprint of our actions upon the world. A long time ago, we heeded the call to adventure, right? Way back in the summons card, right? We heeded um, the call to adventure, and now we examine our mark. So it really brings it all full circle, right back to how did we do, like what kind of mark are we leaving, which is quite powerful there in the legacy card. And then obviously our very last card in this major arcana is the continuum card, which is associated to the wheel. And so they do give a definition here, a continuum as a noun, a continuous sequence in which adjacent elements are not perceptibly different from each other, although the extremes are quite distinct. We have the lemon scott. We talked about this, about it being broken. We talked about the Celtic knot behind it, the endless knot, not Celtic, sorry. It looks like a Celtic knot. It is a Tibetan endless knot. And it is connected to the endless wheel and draws parallels with the Wheel of Fortune. So that's what we have here. It symbolizes the power we hold to break negative cycles and influence the world around us. She reminds us that repeating the same actions leads to the same outcome. Are you going to break that pattern and go and try into a new cycle and a new pattern versus just repeating the same one over and over again? I think this could be really, obviously the wheel is there no matter what, but it does make you really think about the bigger patterns that play out, or that whether across your lifetime, generations, or in past life work. It really kind of reminds us that we don't have to keep playing out the same patterns, but we can break them. So that, I think, is a really cool aspect of the wheel. Another card that I often find a bit ho-hum, but not here. So that is the majors. I know we spent a ton of time going through the majors, but this is really where I think, again, and I'm not just you, I love the minor arcana. I am a minors first, majors second kind of a woman in divination, but this is in this deck, this is where this really stands out as having done something really cool, very deliberate, very mindful, still echoing the journey that we all know is there, but really presenting it in a fresh way that makes us take another look at that instead of just kind of going through the same old routine, which I find, again, to be really exciting. Okay, I know we are over an hour in, and that was just on the majors. Again, that's for a reason. So I am going to just kind of quickly flip through, because can always come back and readdress it, but I want to try to at least keep a full flip through in here. I love the minors. They are very pip-like, but they most definitely do still have um, uh, things that are going on in them. And so in terms of the guidebook, we have one page per minor. We have the same keywords. We have the the basic image in black shown there. And then we have our descriptor of what it is that we see. So again, we still know that the images on the majors, they're not just pips, like they are, what we see there is to also help us to interpret the cards and see how that image is supposed to give us that information. So here we have the Ace of Wands. Love this too. Love the little lizard here. I like the pioneering, planning and pioneering that is on this card. I also love this Three of Wands, adventure, opportunity, not just sitting and waiting, but actually growing and continuing to move forward. That little, I don't know if it's that same lizard, but that lizard is taking a leap. I quite love it. Here we have the four. You can see the echo of celebrations, belonging, all of that. Here we have a beautiful, very traditional Five of Wands, where the fifth, or the odd element, is coming in and breaking up the balance of the even number here, which is quite beautiful. The six we have here, again, you can see the traditional sort of celebratory, but it is quite open for any interpretations as well. I like this one. This is taking a stand. Again, very, not a complex image, but it very much gets across what it is. Here we have the Eight of Wands. I do really like that it does have your swiftness feel and the movement, but it has the braided strength of mastery, the strength of that braiding, because I use 8 as mastery. So I love that. Here we have Nine of Wands, caution, endurance, retaliation, and perseverance, with the holding strong despite being attacked of the snake. Here we have the Ten of Wands, working hard, maybe a little bit overburdened. So again, you can see that, but I love it. It also looks like somebody who has come fully into their power and is now growing sort of the next generation. And then we have our court cards. We have page, knight, um, very far, again, very young and beautiful court cards. Look, they all came out of the sky and burst forth from Greek and Greek statues. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But we do have a page who's learning his power, a knight who has figured it out and is much. I like the focused energy there. We have the queen who is wielding her power. Remember the fighter and the empress, and the king who is getting hit upside the head with his power. That's the first thing I. That's the first thing I thought of. I know that that is not the case. You know, funny things come in our head. The king is a man of assertiveness, led by action. Yeah, nothing talks about him getting. I'm just look. I'm gonna love this guy forever now. Don't hate me. I'm gonna love him forever because he is like standing in his power and he's so confident he's not even paying attention when he gets hit in the face with a leaf. Makes me happy. Those are the kind of things that makes you happy. Okay. Again, I'm trying to just quickly get through this, not because the minors are not worthy of it, but just so you can see them all. We have our Ace of Cups here. Again, we can see the cups. We can see the dolphin. Love the kind of just gold imagery here. We have the Two of Cups with some fish. We have the Three of Cups, more fish and coral growing eco. We have the Four of Cups here. Again, I don't feel any boredom here. We do have some things spilling over, but it's being solid and strong in your, for me, it's about stability in the emotions, and that feels very much that way. What was lost, but what we still have. In the Five, we have the Six of Cups here. Very Pip-like. I love these. The Seven of Cups, we can see the reminiscence of the different things in the cups. Don't get too sidetracked by illusions. We have the Eight of Cups going deep. I love the little moon overhead, and that one's going deep underneath the water. We have the Nine of Cups is very actually quite powerful. There, and then a beautiful Ten of Cups. I love the whales and the Ten of Cups. We have the page that is again playing. You saw that with the wands as well. They're not necessarily younger. Obviously, these are not younger children or anything, but there is a sense of playfulness and there is a sense of playing with their power versus the knights of the wands and the cups that do seem much more solid in utilizing their power of their skills. She is quite beautiful. I love that Queen of Cups and King of Cups. Looks like a young Poseidon. I do love the fish and the sharks and the dolphins and things swimming around. Love this Ace of Swords. Gorgeous. Two, really cool. Three, again, traditional, not just to the Rider-Waite-Smith, but also going back into the 1400s, so I can't complain. But this I like. I guess it's just we're gonna have we're going to grow. Our power is going to grow. Our knowledge is going to grow with all of our experiences. Here we have the Four of Swords, pausing, and transformation with the butterflies. Powerful. Five of Swords. Love the Six of Swords. Here we have the Seven of Swords. That's really interesting, right? There's a mask. We don't know what we're seeing entirely. We've got a map going on here. What is happening? We need to know more before we can keep moving forward. The Eight of Swords, of course, they can get free. The Nine of Swords, the high energy of the swords can either bring us down or we can ride that energy, which is the case with the Nine of Swords and the Ten of Swords. I can live with this. Again, you know me, I'm not Rider-Waite-Smith. I love the butterflies rising. It's no longer about the physical body. It's now about what transcends that with all the knowledge that has gained. You know, this is pretty good for a ten of standard Rider-Waite-Smith Ten of Swords. I'll take it. Here we have the page. She's pretty strong, I will say, for a page, although we do have all of this going on up here. Like, okay, I've got all this mental power, but I'm not entirely sure what to do with it. Whereas she looks like, bam, right? She really knows what she's going to do with it. That's very powerful. So she looks powerful, but we got to look at that kind of mess up there. Is not quite figured out how to harness that mental energy, and she definitely looks like she's got it figured out. Here we have the Queen of Swords, again, very strong. Her face and her neck stretching up. I don't know, there's something about her head here. She's like, and her eyes are closed, so she's fully in that mental space, but powerfully so. And then we have the King, who is like completely focused and intense. No leaves in his face, only hair, probably. No. Here we have the Ace of Pentacles. Love the Two of Pentacles. Love the Three of Pentacles. Again, very Pip-like, which I adore. So it keeps it open, but also very much does have all of the key in. So in some ways, kind of like, say, the Pagan Otherworlds, where it's very Pip-like, but you could certainly see the Rider-Waite-Smith in you can certainly see the Rider-Waite-Smith in it with the money, the coins and resources disintegrating. Here we have the Six of Coins. I love the Seven of Coins. Eight of Coins, mastery, very much feels like mastery. The Nine of Coins kind of harkens to the white dress there. And the beautiful Ten of Coins. I love, love, love that. Again, this page seems very playful and learning the energy, and he is like, look, the pages are coming up, the hammer is up, like he is all connected into his power. The Queen is strong and confident, as is the King. So there we go. That might have been the fastest I have done a minor arcana, but you know, we had to, compromise to try to get everything in at once. I am sure that I will readdress this deck. I am most definitely going to be using this. I'm quite interested to see how it reads. It is that sticky mat, what I would call like rose petal, which is so beautiful to feel. It's not, and this flexes really lovely, but it is, when you get that rose petal, it is you gotta kind of work your shuffle in there. And it can get a little clumpier overhand, but I don't even care. Sometimes you just don't even care. And that's where I am right now, as I don't even care. Some of that will ease up as you use it, but I like that at least it bends like dream. So it's really not bad. It doesn't have that slide of satin where it just slides in. It does stick a little bit, but I'll take it. Continuing, we're going to set right in the center of the wheel. We're going to look at, oh, look at that. We're going to look at fire, air, water, earth. I'll zoom out so you can see. I can see I obviously didn't, and I have not even done this in my normal order. I'm just putting them on so that you can see them set out. Really powerful. Like, we got a lot of majors here, and then the queens and the courts really stand out as well, but you definitely can tell where those majors are, even though it's got, all of them have white space, so to speak. The courts and the majors have much more gold. Is there even any gold background in the minors? No. So that allows for the courts, which are quite powerful, to really stand out, and the courts and the majors to really stand out from the minors. So you're really going to see that difference in the energy on the table. So there you have it. Again, I will really try to come back. Well, we're already in the end of October, so in December I always do a check-in with all of the decks that I have reviewed over the course of the year. And this one I definitely want to use. I'm very interested in how those the cards in the major, especially again, I think that I've learned from Cosmovisions and even from again, older decks like Dreams of Gaia that really change things up. Of course, now we're not going to get any. To really just lean into the that sacrifice and not even try not to like your first go to be let me figure out what major that was associated to. Like I would really just stick with the understanding of sacrifice and what it's going to be taken, what you're willing to sacrifice, and that it is part of power. Like if this is influencing this card, then what is, when we are seated in the throne of our power, and especially our emotional and inner power landscape, then we can see and know what is worth sacrificing for. Like I just feel like that's my suggestion. It's not just a personal suggestion, that you just lean into that sacrifice and not immediately say, oh, I think this is associated to the hangman. The hangman means X, Y, and Z. Like just roll with the titles here. And I think that is where you can really start to get the connective power of this rewrite of the majors here. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. I have been really, really in love with diving into what's going on here. And I hope that you have enjoyed this and that, oh, that's lovely. This it's probably been here since I zoomed out, but oh well, I'm not going to redo it. So I apologize if that has been distracting you. But anyways, I do appreciate being sent this for the purpose of checking it out, and especially for really diving into the majors, because I don't know truthfully if I would have bought this. Most likely I wouldn't have. Number one, I didn't know that there was a remake of the minors in this, and number two, I mean, again, it's just a personal thing. Like they are just so perfectly gorgeous and young. I don't tend to lean towards those decks all the time, even though it's not just this person. These art is amazing, but it just does tend to be one that I probably wouldn't have purchased it, and that is too bad because I love what's been done here in these majors, and I would have been really disappointed to have missed out on the thought that went into that. So, sometimes our personal aesthetics, obviously that helps to guide us so that we put our money where it goes into, where it goes with our aesthetics. But sometimes if we use that to not even check something out, then we're very likely to miss out on something. So that's obviously why I really like deck reviews, because you can at least check them out and see, okay, is there something there that might pull me, even though it might not be my normal decks that I'm drawn to color wise or image style wise. So I hope this helps with that. And even if again you don't end up getting this deck, I think that it's worthwhile. Obviously, I think it's worthwhile to watch, just to see how somebody has approached the majors. Same concept, like they say in the guidebook. This isn't the hero's journey in the tarot is nothing new. It really has almost become canonical, where it's just the way we see it in a modern tarot concept. But to see it put out in this way, I just think is brilliant. I absolutely loved it. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and people keep this up, right? Keep thinking, keep exploring. There's always new ways to kind of rethink and reimagine. Like we've never seen an empress like that as a fighter. Yeah, love it. Okay, bye.